The ISIS has ramped up its recruitment drive in India. Their strategy is very clear and very well organized and implemented. The ISIS is looking at a very small group of people in India, young, educated, talented professionals. Now these youth are contacted via friends and other acquaintances and are then radicalized on cyberspace. Many Indians based in Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan are also reportedly trying to lure in fact, youth from the country, mostly in their 20s, to join the group. That's the latest that we are getting. That's the latest strategy. They want to hire young Indian professionals. Abhishek Bhalla of Mail Today now joins us on the phone line for more on this. Morning, Abhishek. This seems to be a new strategy by the Islamic State to hire professionals, young Indian professionals.
Yes, Ankit, that's the strategy that they have adopted. In fact, the Indians who have joined the group all have a similar profile, and the Indians who were intercepted and could not actually cross over, reach Turkey before going to Syria, also had a similar profile. In fact, I did manage to speak to 4 young boys from Hyderabad, and they too were all educated. One of them was an MBA who was working as a foreign exchange trader now. The others were young engineering students. One of them, after completing his engineering, was actually working as an engineer. So it's very clear that these people have access to internet, computers, and they can be contacted online. And that's the strategy that ISIS has adopted of radicalizing young Indian minds in the cyberspace. And they are constantly sending them videos, sending them literature, engaging in dialogue about things related to Islamic State, and that's how they are catching them.
Okay. Abhishek Bhalla, many thanks for joining us at this moment. We also have Commodore Uday Bhaskar at this moment. Mr. Uday Bhaskar, can you tell us a little about this strategy? If you could just throw some light on picking up young Indian professionals. That's a proper strategy that is in place to radicalize young Indian youth. And these are not people who are from a less privileged background. They're journalists, they're engineers from very qualified backgrounds.
Yeah, this is the pattern that can be discerned. If you look at the growth of the IS, the Islamic State, as one of the most potent groups, which now I think has moved from being non-state to the equivalent of a quasi-state organization, it is clear that they have invested in a very intense manner in recruiting through the available cyber platforms, particularly social media. Now, there have been some preliminary studies about the strategy of the IS, particularly in relation to catchment areas both in Western Europe as also in North America. And the pattern is very similar to what your correspondent, Mr. Bhalla, has just outlined, that they are targeting a certain cross-section of educated youth, which would be seen as the equivalent of susceptible to the kind of propaganda / motivational material that is being put out. And the numbers speak for themselves, because as I said, if you look at the last 18 months, there has been a steady infusion of relatively younger people, professionals, educated, many of them with the equivalent of a science or an IT background, who have been drawn to what you might call as the image of the Islamic State. Yes, many of them either leave because they are disillusioned, some of them have lost their lives, but it does point to the efficacy of the outreach through cyber, through social media. And the footprint for South Asia is that India has been identified as a very rich catchment area. And I think what we are now seeing in relation to this journalist from Kerala who has been identified, and he, by the way, is not the first such quote-unquote recruit who has been drawn towards these extreme ideologies, whether the IS or the Al-Qaeda. There seems to be some kind of a blur over there. But I think for India, this is a reality. We have to deal with it in a very calibrated way, and not, I don't think the amber lights are flashing as of now, let me put it that way.
Okay. Commodore Uday Bhaskar, many thanks for joining us at this moment. Abhishek Bhalla from Mail Today T.S. Sudhir as well as Revati Rajivan for getting us that news break. Thanks very much.